Welcome to Database Normalization for the first normal form. To create a database in first normal form, there are a series of rules that need to be applied to the data. These rules are as follows. 1. All repeating groups within a relation are removed. To do this, move all repeating data along with a copy of the original key attributes into a separate relation. 2. All attribute values are atomic and are of the same type. 3. Each attribute within the relation has a unique name. And 4. Each relation has a primary key. To understand how to apply these rules, we're going to work through an example, one that we will follow all the way through to third normal form. The first thing to do is study and understand the data you're working with. We are working with a common example of students, their teachers, and their courses. Looking at the first rule, which states all repeating groups of data are removed or separated into their own relation or table. In our example, we can see student number, course code, course name, teacher, date completed, and grade are all repeated. So let's move these into their own table. Note, when we move these down, we need to copy the attributes down, the key attributes, to ensure that we keep the database consistent. Now let's fix this layout and remove these blank lines. Now rule 3 states all attribute values are atomic and of the same type. Atomic attributes mean they cannot be broken down or separated further. Looking at our data, we can see that student name, address, and teacher don't look atomic. Breaking out these separate values, we can create first name, last name, address, suburb, postcode, and state. For teacher, we can create teacher ID, teacher initial, and teacher name. So let's do that now. Now let's look back and see what we need to do for rules 3 and 4 of normalization. It should be noted here that rules 3 and 4 of normalization are repeated throughout the rules of first, second, and third normal forms. Looking at the data, we do have unique names for all our attributes, but what about the primary keys? Student ID is straightforward for the student table, but it is not unique for the student and course table. So let's first identify a student number as a primary key. And we'll do this by underlining. In the case of the student and course table, what we need to do is create a composite key from student ID and course code, since we're making the assumption that the student cannot repeat or take the same course twice. If that were true, we would need to include a date completed attribute as part of the primary key, or in reality, probably create a new unique auto-incrementing attribute and use that instead. So now let's underline student number and course code to identify them as our primary key. Next, let's look at the normalization grid. In the normalization grid, we have 4 columns or 4 tables. UNF, unnormalized form, 1NF, first normal form, 2NF, second normal form, 3NF, third normal form. Now let's move all the attributes from UNF to 1NF based on the decisions we made in the Consolidated Data tab. So let's do that now. Like before, we need to copy down the student number to create our composite key. Let's identify our primary keys. Lastly, let's fix this formatting. In summary, to design a database in first normal form, we must ensure that 1. All repeating groups within a relation are removed. 2. All attribute values are atomic and are of the same type. 3. Each attribute within the relation has a unique name. And 4. Each relation has a primary key.